Phoenix is the fifth largest city in the nation and by far the largest city in Arizona. And recently, there have been a number of news stories related to the Phoenix Police Department's uses of force, and in particular, whether there is a racial disparity in Phoenix's use of force. I'm Steve Sterbalik, and I'm a panel attorney with As Cops in Arizona. And today, I'll talk about the types of calls where uses of force occur, why officers use force, and what the data actually shows regarding these situations. As always, this is a topic summary and not legal advice. So if you have questions about your specific circumstance, make sure that you consult with a lawyer. So to start, let's discuss the types of police contacts that may result in officers using force against the suspect. Officers use the force that's reasonable and necessary to address any given situation. According to some activists, even officer presence counts as a use of force. But Phoenix and most police agencies consider a reportable use of force to occur when the officer delivers hard-handed techniques like fist strikes, and not every single time that officers go hands-on, like situations where officers are handcuffing a suspect without needing to use punches or kicks. In the vast majority of the time, officers use force when faced with resistance, meaning the suspect is not complying with commands to stop resisting, or the suspect is engaged in other violent or non-compliant behavior. Additionally, and unfortunately, the types of contacts involving high violence potential, where suspects are often non-compliant, the hits for the stolen vehicles, the violent suspect calls, are, statistically speaking, more likely to involve Black and Hispanic suspects and occur in neighborhoods with high minority populations. For reasons well beyond the scope of this video, areas where there is the highest level of violent crime in Phoenix also happen to be the areas where there is the highest minority populations. So police officers working in these areas and responding to situations with the highest violence potential do have higher percentage of officers using force. Now, this does not mean that Phoenix police officers are seeking out minority suspects. Instead, the higher rate of use of force regarding members of minority groups tracks the suspect and potential suspect contacts that occur. Also, the data shows that the victims of these violent crimes, the victims of the assaults, the robberies, the gang shootings, and other homicides that the police are responding to are disproportionately members of minority communities. In other words, the reason that police officers have more uses of force against minority suspects is because police officers are there, where the crime is happening, confronting violent criminals who choose to resist arrest or attack others. Which means police officers use force to address the threats that they face and to help secure these minority communities. Additionally, every single complaint regarding a use of force is reviewed, at a minimum, by an on-duty supervisor, and uses of force involving an officer-involved shooting or an in-custody death have full-blown crime scene investigation, supervised by outside civilians from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, an entity entirely independent from the Phoenix Police Department. Oh, and by the way, every complaint regarding an officer's use of force is logged, tracked, and, once it's resolved, can be reviewed by anyone who files a public records request. In other words, while it's true that police use force in more instances in high crime, violent communities, these communities involve men and women calling the police to respond to violent crime. Police officers respond to that violent crime call and sometimes are forced to use force in order to arrest criminal suspects who may not be compliant and may even actively attack officers or others that are there, most often responding to calls for help. Every single complaint regarding a use of force is tracked, at a minimum reviewed by a supervisor, and when it's done, is subject to that public records request. Every police shooting and in-custody death is tracked separately from the standard uses of force. It's the subject of its own crime scene investigation overseen by an outside civilian organization. And finally, here's an aspect that you won't see in media stories. The data backs up the proposition that Phoenix police officers and officers throughout Arizona respond to difficult, potentially dangerous incidents well, the vast majority of the time. Crime is devastating in minority communities, and officers will continue to respond to fight crime in these areas, even when the media attempts to slant the story and report data in a misleading way. I'm Steve Cerbalic. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. If you're interested in watching another relevant video, click up here. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, click down here. And then hit the notification bell to receive messages when new videos are posted. Videos are posted every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Arizona time.